So with our last panel, we're going to be talking a little bit about something that is absolutely fundamentally critical to building growth companies here in South Carolina, and that is access to talent, right? Building talent pipelines. We have three fantastic, highly successful, ridiculously good-looking panelists that are going to be joining us today that each bring a really unique set of skills, and we're excited to have them. So first and foremost, I want to introduce Karen Jenkins. She is the founder and CEO of KRJ Consulting. She president and CEO of KRJ Consulting, a full-service consulting firm providing workforce development and administrative support services. She is a thought leader and professional speaker who empowers people from all walks of life through enlightenment and education. So one of the other things that is really exciting about Karen is that her company, for the first time, right? For the first time this year, was nominated and recognized as an Inc. 5000 company. Y'all, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. And if y'all know anything, if you picked up anything about why we exist, why GrowCo exists, it is to get more Karens, more Karen Jenkins, more companies from Columbia on the Inc. 5000. So we're thrilled to have her. She's also going to be our moderator, so you won't have to listen to me yap for 45 minutes. So Karen, thank you for being here. Next up, we have Sandy McGuckin. If the name sounds familiar, that's because she is the way better half of the husband and wife team that co-founded T-Cube Solutions. Y'all met Sam earlier today. Sandy is a firecracker, but she's also like the chief mother/culture officer, or was, with T-Cube. Y'all have heard their story, right? They built an incredible insurance technology and services company, sold it to Capgemini. They're moving on to additional investments that Sandy doesn't want to talk about, she told me. And they've just become an incredible force for supporting entrepreneurs in the city. So we are fantastically thrilled to have Sandy up here. And she has fabulous glasses, right? Have you seen those glasses? Last but not least, we have Tyler Robertson. He is the CEO of Diesel Laptops. If you have never heard of this company, shame on you. They're doing incredible things, but he's the owner and CEO of Diesel Laptops, a company that provides specialized diesel diagnostic equipment for the commercial truck, construction, automobile, agriculture, and off-highway markets. Now, that's pretty exciting stuff if you're into diesel. If not, then this part should probably excite you. Since they launched in 2014, 6 short years ago, Diesel Laptops has grown to employ over 300 people here in the Midlands. They've landed on the Inc. 5000 list, and this year y'all were just named as one of South Carolina's top 25 fastest growing companies.
Yep, 3 years in a row.
For the 3rd year in a row. There you go. So we got some heavy hitters to close out our afternoon. We're excited to have y'all. They're going to be talking about all things talent. We're going to save some time, obviously, at the end for questions, and I'm going to take it away. So good luck.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here. This is my 4th GrowCo Summit, so I'm just really excited to see all the expansion and growth, and especially amidst the time of COVID. I'm going to take the pleasure of also dittoing what Dom talked about with Optus Bank. I've been associated with the bank for a while, and when Dom came, I was so fired up about what he did. Something as simple as, okay, we all know as small businesses we have to pay our taxes, right? And you have to pay quarterly taxes. So every month when we get our revenue, we take a certain percentage and put it in the bank to make sure that when we have to make the quarterly taxes, they are paid. So that's where my money went. The money that I was holding for my quarterly taxes went to Dom. And then for whatever reason, I paid my taxes out of my operating account, so the funds just stay there. So to support the community, to support our base, to get that GDP up, I thoroughly recommend that. But I'm so excited to be here with these 2 awesome entrepreneurs. I had the blessing of meeting with them earlier this week, and we just meshed. So I hope that comes across today. I'm going to start out with a few questions, and then we'll open it up for some additional questions that you may have. So we'll start with you, Sandy. What do you think is the biggest myth around talent in the Midlands?
Okay, so talent is definitely hard to find. But I feel that if you, kind of like what Optus was saying, if you really look at the person versus their degree or their, what they've been working on, you can figure out exactly where they fit and what they can do. And if you just kind of spend a little bit of time with these people, you can find out exactly how they can really help your company. And if they feel like they're part of something, they're going to do a really great job. I do think that we have a myth that talent is hard to find in South Carolina. We have spent time at the university, we've spent time at the tech schools, we've spent time at other universities within South Carolina, and we've brought them in as apprentices, a paid apprenticeship program, and they've done very well. When they first came in, they thought, well, we're just going to do this apprenticeship and then I'm out of here as soon as I graduate. But then they find out that Columbia is cooler than they really realized it was, and they kind of hang around. And it's been really good, I think, for South Carolina.
So let's talk. So Sandy's an IT-based company. So Tyler, you're a little bit different in that you're in the kind of pseudo trucking something. Give us a little bit of flavor for what your jobs are, and then talk to us about the myths.
Yeah, so we have a retail established business, and we're trying to transition to this software company. So very similar. And I'd agree. I think if you ask anyone in any state or city, they're going to say we don't have great talent here. That's a thing you hear all over, no matter where you go. And we try to really look and go beyond that. So, for example, like our director of operations, he's 23. He's been with me since high school, and he was running a pizza shop, right? He was literally building pizzas, and now he's our director of operations. Our HR manager, she was an executive assistant. So a lot of times, it's amazing when you find the right people with the right talent set and the willingness to learn and the capability to learn. It's amazing how fast they can grow up when you put those resources around them. So, but with that said, we do struggle too on software engineers. We need software engineers. They're hard to find. We're working with Opportunity Columbia to try to bring some apprenticeship to that whole thing. Certain roles are really, really tough to find. Other ones, we're able to fill them fairly easily when they're more general positions, accounting and that type of thing. And I'll also say the top 3 positions we're trying to fill, none of them require a college degree. Software engineers, diesel technicians for our call center, our salespeople. We're not looking for 4-year degrees. We're looking for something totally different. So I think that's part of the mindset.
So along those lines, when you go out and you recruit and you're trying to find those people, so do you feel that there are challenges in attracting and retaining the people that you do attract?
I mean, for us, retention's not the problem at all. I mean, we pay way above average in the positions that we have. We know we need great talent. I think that really is a cultural thing inside an organization. We do a length of things above and beyond. I mean, we have weekly COVID testing for all the employees. We put a school teacher into our building for our employees that have elementary kids to help during COVID and with all the schools and everything. So we don't have a problem there. The attraction side of it, again, you know, we find certain positions, we're pulling them out of the Midwest or the Northeast or somewhere where the weather sucks, right? That's where I came from. I know how much better it is down here. So a lot of positions you have to go outside Columbia to go find certain skill sets. I mean, especially we're looking for software engineers that know commercial trucks and know diagnostics. That's a tough 3 boxes to check, and you either got to go hire them and train them or try to go find them and pull them out of Michigan or other areas in the country.
What about you, Sandy, when we talk about the challenges in attracting and retaining?
So, you know, I agree with Tyler. So for us, it wasn't a problem attracting or retaining, frankly, because we had such a great culture in our business, and we had a really great salary that we were offering, and for the young people, world travel. There was a lot of travel involved. We did things like we said, you know, you can wear whatever you want to wear to the office as long as you do a really good job. You can bring your dogs to we had a really cool culture, kind of the Google culture, and this is, you know, 4 years ago, and they loved that. And so attracting them, people wanted to come to work for us. People were leaving really great companies with really great views to come to work at the incubator. And those of you that are familiar with the incubator, you know what that means. I mean, they were going in the basement to get their chairs when they came there. As far as retaining, again, we had no trouble retaining because we invested so heavily. I love hearing what you're doing as well. We invested so heavily in our employees, and they knew they were the reason that we were as successful as we were.
And you bring up a great point when you talk about millennials versus baby boomers, and I'm sure depending on the role that you're hiring for, having a culture that attracts maybe a baby boomer is going to be a lot different from what you might find when you're looking for the typical baby boomer, the banker looking person that came to, you know, 8 to 5 every day and that kind of thing. So I love the fact that you talked about that flexibility. So how I think in your area you may be more versed with baby boomers, but how have you dealt with that diverse population as it pertains to the gap, of generational gap?
You know, that's a great question, and no one's actually ever asked me that question before, and I will tell you that the baby boomers had a real problem with that. They absolutely did. And the first time we had a client visit our office, the baby boomer walked around and said to me, "I think they need to be dressed up for this." And I said, "No. This is our culture, this is who we are, and I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to pretend that we're someone we're not." And without fail, every single company that visited us, the first thing they did when they walked in was they took off their tie and they were like, "Oh man, this is great." So, you know, then they started coming around as well and kind of understood why it worked and it was important.
Have you noticed that, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, my employees thought something was wrong today because I'm wearing like a button-up shirt and pants, right? Usually I'm shorts and a t-shirt type of guy. So it was a weird thing today. But, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, I used to work for a company, and it was definitely a baby boomer generational thing, the ownership and the upper management structure. So it was just a totally different mindset in the way they went about treating their employees. And I think more than anything, that's the big part of the retention, is I was just like, you know, I'm going to treat people the way I wanted to be treated when I was an employee. And you find out when you do that and you start asking for opinions, you start asking for suggestions, you get them involved in the company. They do truly remarkable things for you, and they want to stick around, and it doesn't become a thing about, I can make $1 an hour more here or there. It's irrelevant at that point.
And I think that's a huge piece of, you know, the retention piece. It's very expensive to replace an employee. And when that employee, and there's this myth that baby boomers come and then, you know, they stay there for 5 seconds and then they leave and then you have to pay the money to replace them. You know, my daughter is probably just loving what you're saying about not necessarily being in the baby boomer arena of how you structure your office. Our office is business casual, I must confess. I am a 23-year in banking experience kind of person. Granted, I was in operations, but I still had or have that banking mentality of professionalism and wanting to project that image. So we kind of went to, you know, we can dress down on Fridays. Now that we are in COVID, I'm at home, and of course, you know, on the top part, you have on your clothes. On the bottom part, I hope you have on clothes, but it's probably pajamas. And that's me. You know, I'm wearing the sweats, you know, below, and probably no shoes or some socks on. And I think that we may have to come back and revisit a little bit of what we've been doing, or what I have been doing, because I'm gonna tell you, they wanna do more of what you guys are talking about. My daughter has a new puppy. And she's stressing, "Mommy, Milo should be able to come to the office with me." I'm like, "No, she shouldn't." We'll think about that. So let's move on to our next question. So share with us some of your lessons learned in talent attraction and retention.
Okay, let's see. Talent attraction and retention.
Some lessons learned.
Lessons learned. So, I mean, I just have to go back to just looking at the person as an individual, not necessarily requiring certain things, not putting them in a box, but just kind of talking through and understanding what makes them tick and what they're good at, and then kind of figuring out where they fit. And even when they come in, no one wants to be a failure. If they're in and they're not doing a good job, instead of just letting them go, talk to them, kind of what Optimus Bank was saying, just invest in compassion and figuring out. And I think that, you know, for me, that's the biggest lesson I learned, was just, you got to believe in people. People will rise to the occasion, just as you were saying as well. And it goes for retention as well. You know, our CFO was a 20-something-year-old that was just so brilliant with numbers. I mean, he was just amazing, and you could just give him an Excel spreadsheet and he would just do amazing things, and just he was just so amazing. So I think it's just that, just figuring out where you fit and investing in the people.
How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I think we could write a book on, or at least a full chapter on all the mistakes we made. So you got to keep in mind, we're a fast-growing entrepreneurial company. All I care about is sales and marketing, and all this HR garbly-gook. I was just kind of like, well, we'll deal with that later, right? So we eventually brought a VP of HR and legal on, and we got that fixed. But you know, before that, I remember we hired someone, and literally, you know, he's there for a day, and he tells another employee, I can't believe they hired me with my record. And then you look and you find out he's on some list somewhere that he shouldn't be on. You're like, okay, we got a problem there. We had an employee, one of our first employees. She started putting fake employees on payroll and forging signatures and stealing money from us, right? So, I think we made a lot of mistakes because I focused on the sales and marketing so much. And even though they were expensive, not good mistakes, they're all definitely lessons learned that didn't happen again. So I think now it's much better. We have a clearly defined process. We do cultural interviews. We do panel interviews in certain positions. We do background checks now on the employees. So we do all these things that we should have been doing probably in the beginning. So there's always lessons to be learned in everything when you're growing a business.
So I'll share a couple of lessons that I learned in the hiring process, one of which was I just had this thing in my head that I knew it better, but that everybody thought the way I thought, and everybody did the things that I did. I was that person, my very first job at the bank at the age of 18, I was going to my boss saying, what next? Okay, give me a task, give me a challenge. I did it, I mastered it, and then I would go back like a crazy person and go, what's next? And I just assumed that everybody did that. So with my team, I think they were I'm very shy. Anyway, so I'm sure that at times I can be very intimidating, so they didn't want to, and I tell them, look, it's not failures, but mistakes are all part of life. You have to make a mistake to be able to figure out which direction to go in. So I'm not afraid of the mistakes. What I'm afraid of or what I don't like is when you don't take the step to even try to make the mistake. So I had to go through a process of empowering my team to say, listen, I am very confident in what I do. And it's not that I know everything, because I don't know everything. There's a whole lot that I don't know. I read books, ferociously and try to learn as much as I can. The reason that I have the confidence that I have is because I am resourceful. I know that if I don't know the answer, I know how to go and find it. So I had to teach my team, people who came into an environment new to them that they had never done before. I had never done it before, how many years ago when I first got laid off and opened up my company, and share with them my thought processes and things that made me successful. So empowering your team members is one of the ways that you're going to find to help retain them, giving them the responsibility, right? But also the skills that they need to be able to figure things out on their own. And come into my office with a problem, but I want you to come in with at least 2 or 3 solutions. We may not choose any of them, but maybe we'll start from there and work from there. Any feedback on something like that?
Yeah, I just want to tag onto that. One thing that we prided ourselves in is that we were a scrappy bunch. We could figure it out, and if there was a problem, we'd sit down and talk about it, and they just, exactly what you were saying. And the other thing is, we never asked them to do anything that we wouldn't do ourselves. We were right in there working right beside, side by side, doing every single thing that we were asking them to do as well. But, when you said you've got to be resourceful, you absolutely do. And I think if you empower them and you work beside them and you create a real team environment, it really goes a long way.
How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, similar stuff with us. I mean, we were growing fast, still growing fast, and we're hiring people. And, you can look around and no one's been there a year, so no one hardly knows their job, and you're hiring people, and all these things are happening so fast. And we really quickly realized it's a big turn to go from, as your revenue goes up, your company dynamics totally change, and you need different skill sets, and jobs sometimes outgrow people. And we're sitting there thinking, this about a year and a half ago, like, man, how are we going to hit 50 million, 75 million, 100 million in revenue? These people we have being managers, they never had the skill sets to do these things. I mean, someone now that was a diesel technician 18 months ago is now in charge of opening training centers across the United States. Those are 2 completely different skill sets. And how do we give these people the tools and resources? Like you said, people come to me all the time thinking I know everything. I'm figuring it out just like they are. So I appreciate people say, you're doing a great job at CEO. I'm like, I'm learning, man. I promise you. It was much easier the way it was before 5 years ago. So we brought in some management and some leadership training classes, and we made all of our managers and leaders go through those things and start to really realize it's not just working in the business, it's working on the business and trying to be better a little bit every day, a little bit better, and try to fix processes and try to do new things and bring solutions. Don't just bring us problems. And once you get all your employees really engaged like that, it totally changes the dynamics on what's happening inside your organization.
So I think what I heard here from both of you really was that, a lot of people say we have a retention issue, or I should say a recruiting issue, but maybe we have some diamonds in the rough. Maybe there are people within our current teams that have not been given the opportunity or that we have not given them the power or empowered them to take a step outside of their little box. They're kind of on a leash and they're going, okay, well, I don't want to step over here and do that because, I'm not supposed to do that. But when you open that up to them and say, hey, I want you to help me. I told my team, if I'm working 175% of my capacity and you're only working 65, that's a problem. Now, if you're working 100 and we're working 100, then there's certain things that I'm going to see in your capabilities. There's certain things that are going to rear their head. And if you want that leadership role, then you have to start acting like a leader. When I was in banking, it was you dress for the position that you wanted next. This is you work and position yourself and function as though you're in the position next.
So on that line, one of the things we did this year with our employees was succession planning. So we had to go to all of our managers and up and say, you need to tell us who your replacement is. And at first there was that big fear in their eye, like, why? What's going to happen? Are you firing me? And it's like, no, like your role here is to work yourself out of a job and do it so well they don't need you so we can move you up and do other things with you. You need to have your replacement. We don't know, there's all the what ifs that happen in business. So, that was really eye-opening to a lot of them because they started to look at their employees being like, I got no one that can replace me. And that's a great spot for them maybe, but a horrible spot for the company. So it's getting the people in the right mindset to do those things, and they start thinking about things a little bit differently. And again, it just goes back to changes the culture, changes the way people view your company, and people all of a sudden are excited to learn that there's more opportunity inside your organization.
Right. Do you have anything to add, Sandy?
Everything he said, I just think he's such a rock star.
He is. Both of you are rock stars. So along those lines, I'm going to talk about helping people understand the why. So we had our strategic planning session I think last month, and we're going to do a part 2 next month. And I had gone through the SBA's Emerging Leader Program back in 2018. Wonderful program, so if you have an opportunity to go through it, I think Matt's gone through it, and unfortunately they didn't have it in South Carolina. We had to go to Charlotte every other month or whatever it was. But it was a great program because I ended up, by the end of the 7-month program, with a 3- and 5-year growth strategy. So it was a plan and then the action steps that we would take to reach there. Well, to have that was fine, but I had to share that with my team to let them know the why. Why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? What is our vision? Where are we going? Because when people understand the why behind what they're doing, they do a much better job. Now, that's globally from a corporate perspective. You want to share it with your management team. But then there's my function within the team. What I'm doing is important because. So if you have a link in a chain and that person doesn't understand, there's a difference between I come to work every day and I push this button. And that's all you know. What do? I push a button at work. I push a button. I push a button. I push a button. But when you come to work and you understand that when you push that button, that it is the safety check on a bolt that's going on a 747 airplane to ensure that the lives are secured for the people that are in the air, do you think you feel your job is a little more meaningful? You're going to put a little more oomph into pushing that button. You're going to make sure that you're not sleep and miss the light that goes off that says there's a problem. So understanding the why as to how important you are to our team, I think is important in the retention. So what have you guys done along those lines of ensuring that your team members understand their why?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a big, huge thing of what we've done, right? So I didn't start this company because of the what, right? I started because of the why. It's because I wanted to go help our industry do something better. I saw a better path to the way we can accomplish things and things should be done. And you start questioning that. And that's really was the conversation with all the customers to begin with is, why are you doing it this way? There's a better way. Let's talk about this. And everything we communicate, and I think it's been the real transition, especially employee side aside on the marketing and sales side, with customers, it's never about the what anymore. It's always about the how we can help you and why you need help in those conversations, which is a totally difficult conversation for a lot of our salespeople to understand why we're doing those things. But it comes across really clearly to customers. So it's great to see you go on social media, you go on these platforms, and people are talking about all the great things our company does, and it's why we're doing them, not the what we're doing. And the employees are really getting it. I just had an employee the other day. We were having a conversation. He's like, you know what? I got 30 people that work for me. It's been 2 years since we've had any turnover in this department. And they all understand the why. They all understand what we're building isn't just to build something. It's not the what. It's because what we're building helps people fix trucks more efficiently and fix equipment more efficiently. And that saves them money and saves them time. And the world's a little bit better place. So the employees, they're all getting rolled in the boat the same way, and they understand the passion and the reason for your company doing these things becomes a really big deal inside the company.
Awesome. How about you?
Yeah, so I would just echo what you both said. And so our employees, we would have to form teams of people to do different implementations. So this team would do this implementation, this would do this. And their why was to help the insurance company, property and casualty insurance companies is who we worked with. And they understood why we were there. They understood what they were doing to help the whys that we were there. And they understood that they had to work as a team. And it just, they understood it, and they rose. We had no turnover at all. I mean, we did have the person that we hired. We were doing background checks, but they were coming in slowly, and we had to go, sorry, you're out. I don't think we had anybody that left because they did understand where they fit on the team and that they were important and they mattered. They made a difference.
Awesome. So we're getting close to our close time. So if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing to improve the landscape of our arena of potential people, or what's going on about the myth in Columbia with retention and talent, what would it be?
So I'll say that Columbia had kind of a bad reputation. No, you don't want to live there. There's nothing to do there. It's hot, it's miserable. But Columbia's come a really long way, and I think that's made it a whole lot easier for retention. Columbia is, someone said to me, I don't know, a year or so ago, Columbia is cool like Austin was in the 70s. And it really kind of is. And every day there's new things happening and new things opening up. And young people realize that it is a cool place to be, and they're thinking about raising families, and this is a good place to do that. As far as the talent pool, it is hard to find them. It absolutely is hard. We had to work hard. We had to shake the bushes. It would be really nice if we had more of a recruiting hub, so to speak, that kind of reached out to all of the different colleges to make it easier to pull. We would actually have to go there and find them ourselves. So that was difficult. But once we got them in, it was good, because Columbia is cool like Austin in the 70s.
What about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm really frustrated with the whole college educational system, right? I mean, you see so many people that are just going to college because that's what their parents have told them for 20 years. They don't know what they want to do, and they come out with 50 grand in debt and no real decision or career path in front of them, or they spend a lot of money in getting a degree that's not going to benefit them. There's no ROI on it. And it's really frustrating because in my world, truck drivers, diesel technicians, software developers, I don't need 4-year degree. You don't need 4-year degrees. There's a lot of great jobs that you can easily make 6 figures a year on. But it's been just so beating to everyone's head. You got to go to college, and my wife went to college 4 years, ended up working 2 years in her career, and said, "I hate this." Right, and that story plays out so many times, and so many people are young, just starting their lives out, and they just come out with so much debt that they're behind before it's even got a chance to get started. So I think there's some better paths for a lot of people, and I wish if I could just wave one wand, it's to put something in place to help educate people on financial planning when they're in high school and help them guide them a little bit better than just go get a degree.
That's so true. So I know in our current ecosystem, there's some changes taking place. There's some things that have happened recently that are recognizing that everybody doesn't need a 4-year degree. We also recognize that there's a labor pool that is not being filled. Lucinda, who was up here earlier, is in construction. There are trades that are not being filled. So some of those trades are paying extremely well because there's nobody out there to do them. Electricians, carpenters, those type of positions. And even, IT positions don't always require a 4-year degree. Midland Tech partnered with R2I2 in Richland District 2, and they have an apprenticeship program that they started with businesses that have come in, and they're hiring students that are getting credit for the classes and Midland Tech credit at the same time. And they're also getting experience that once they finish, they can go out and get a job making a very good salary. I hate to say it, but before the nuclear plant went down, was it J.C. Summer VC Summer Nuclear Plant years ago, partnered with Midlands Tech, and they had a program that it was a scholarship that people could go out and get this degree at Midlands Tech. I think it was a 3-year program. You come out as an engineer, and your lowest salary might have been $70,000 going in. So I think the recognition that we need that type of support to fill our positions. I had a conversation last night with Bill Kirkland, and he introduced me to Jay Henderson, who is with the Office of Innovation. They're getting ready to relaunch I think it's the 3rd class of the IBM Skills Academy, where they're actually doing a artificial intelligence practicum. So you can get a certification to going through their program. You can get a certification to come out and get a job with somebody like Siemens, what used to be PMSC, I think it's CSC now. So I think as a small ecosystem of small entrepreneurs, if some of the larger companies are going out and having those conversations, then we need to have those conversations as well. We have a need, but who are we telling? And if we collectively told people, here are the positions that we're finding challenging to be able to fill, then maybe we can have some collective conversations with Midlands Technical College and some of the other colleges. I'll also ask you, where are you fishing? With all of things that were going on with diversity and inclusion, with the social injustice and things of that nature, people were beginning to talk about needing a diverse workforce. And even with Wells Fargo, the guy's saying, well, I can't find any qualified African Americans. Really? So my question is, where are you fishing? Because if you're fishing in the same pond that you were fishing in and it didn't produce that type of fish, then why are you still fishing there? If you're looking for African American participants to come in and diversify your portfolio of clients or your portfolio of staff, then you may need to go and hang out where the African Americans go. And that's it. You got HBCUs, you have other colleges that have organizations that they can come in. And it's not about just diversity and inclusion. You know, every event that I've gone to since we've had this social injustice issue arise, it has always talked about the economic impact. Because at the end of the day, everything that's been done is around dollars. So if you want to see your increase in revenues, if you want to see the impact of everything you're doing, as Dom said, the GDP goes up when we diversify. Your company, and there are a lot of global companies that are recognizing this and putting it in play, they're diversifying their staff and they're diversifying their client base. So I don't know if we have any more time for questions. It looks like we do have time for questions.
The mothership has approved the 5 minutes of questions.
Okay, well, we have 5 minutes for questions, so I will open it up. So if anybody has any questions, Mr. Hilton has the mic.
Thank you guys so much for speaking today. And Tyler, man, it's been awesome to watch the last 2 years for your company. And thank you for talking about how quickly the growth is that you've experienced and your mindset in the beginning. But based on how quickly companies like yours and yours has grown as well, I know recruiting is probably taking a small portion, if at all, of your day. So can you talk about some of your feelings and opinions and some of the benefits of potentially partnering with a staffing company to help you fill those positions?
Yeah, so we, pre-VP of HR, we just use a staffing company. Like, we need bodies, go find us some bodies, let them do that thing. There's some days some weeks we have 4 or 5 new employees still starting. And, it costs a lot of money to use staffing companies and find the right things and have them understand our business. So, we've built up internally, we got our VP of HR, we have an HR manager, we have a full-time recruiter. And we've quickly realized, I think now, we've had full-time recruiting going on about 9 months, maybe a year. We've kind of learned, hey, there's some roles we can fill internally, and there's other ones we need to go find the right expertise. We've had some really big misses that have really cost us a lot of money at the end of the day. And we're like, man, if we just would have probably brought some professionals in here, maybe we wouldn't have had that miss and save some money and save some time. So, for us, it's finding the right people. And some roles are easy. Sometimes I think it's important for us to augment our recruiting efforts with outside agencies when appropriate.
Who else?
We did as well. We did use them as well.
Oh, sorry. You want to?
No, that's it.
Okay. Miss Lewis? Oh.
I'll make it quick. First of all, I'm a tech baby, so I absolutely love the conversation about technical schools. I graduated from Midlands Tech in architecture engineering, and coming out of the program was able to get a job, seriously, and build a career. So this is really a comment to Tyler and maybe even Sandy. I sit on the board of MEBA, Midlands Education and Business Alliance. where we advocate for professionals like yourself to go into the schools and share what you do. It is so important that we share with our young people the job that you're doing right now, because it can encourage them to go into this diesel program. And then I want to recommend Hayward Career and Technology Center. It's a Richland One program, has a diesel program. And they have one of the best diesel programs in the country. So to even have you go there and talk to the students, man, that would be so awesome. So I just wanted to put that plug in there, because it starts with our youth, our young. We have to start now really educating them and just sharing the opportunities. And I have a 4-year college degree and a master's and a doctorate. So I really want to advocate for that tech. We learn so much through the tech school. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm more than willing to go talk anywhere around here, right? It's always the balance, the work, the family life, and the other things that come outside that. And I will say too, I do this weird thing where I make all new employees come sit with me for 30 minutes, because it was nice before when I was small and I'd able to, interview them. I'd bring them out to lunch, get to know their family, make them feel welcome, and I can't do it anymore. There's too many people. So it's been really cool lately, because we've had a couple people come in, and they're younger, and they were unemployed or underemployed. They were, working retail or fast food or whatever it was, and they got into the Midlands Tech program, and they go through that program, and they come out with their degrees and some certs, and all of a sudden they're making triple, quadruple what they were just making, 18 months ago. So I'm really glad programs like that exist, and I think that's really what I want to keep seeing happen in Columbia, is more events like this, more entrepreneurial talk, and just keep doing what we can to cultivate. And it's like the one before this, right? The meeting. All that strengthens the whole community, which strengthens my business at the end of the day, and everybody else's around us. So we want to keep doing those things and keep growing it around here.
Awesome. Are there any other questions?
Last chance.
While we're waiting, I want to take this opportunity to thank GrowCo.
Yes.
If you guys are not a member and participating with GrowCo, I want you to look around and go back through the agenda today, look at all the things that have been happening, look at all the culmination of, and I think it's been less than a year, Aaron, right? Less than a year that GrowCo actually officially formed. From the executive summit that Matt started 3-4 years ago, to partnering with Greg, and this ecosystem right here is beneficial not just to small businesses, but to our city, to our regional area, and to our state. So if you're not a member, I need you to connect with Greg, or Greg, whoever you send them to. But it's an awesome program. I'm a member of the Founders Circle with them, and partnering with them. And I've been a little busy lately, but I'm still connected. But this is just a wonderful opportunity for you guys to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs and have access to information and be a part of an event such as this. So thank you for the opportunity and the invitation, Aaron and Matt and Greg, and we're just so blessed. And to our panelists, Tyler and Sandy, it has been an honor and a pleasure to meet both of you, and I look forward to us staying connected from this day forward.
Yep. Thank you very much.